Oh, there we go. Trust you me, they will hear me. No, I am.
Ma'am? Yes, ma'am, sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular Lynn Haven City Commission meeting for Tuesday, April the 25th. The meeting is now in session. At this time, Harold Phillips has offered to offer our invocation for the Lynn Haven City Commission meeting, and I appreciate that very much. If you would please stand.
Our Father, tonight, how we thank you so much for the many blessings you've given unto us and for the day-to-day activities that we have. Lord, I just pray tonight that you will bless this commissioner meeting, be with each of the commissioners and the mayor as they conduct the business, be with each and every one, that we all might have open minds and open hearts as to what's going. And we just ask all these blessings in thy name. Amen.
Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 is the mayor's report, and I would like to report one very special event I was able to attend was the Arbor Day and Earth Day celebration over at Lynn Haven Elementary School this past week, and it was really a lot of fun to attend, and the students there offered a lot of really exciting poetry and thoughts about Lynn Haven. And I also told them that because of the elementary schools that we have in Lynn Haven, recently we were, I think I talked about this or bragged about it at the last meeting, but we were selected as the number 8 city in the state of Florida for a city our size to attract young families to bring their children, to raise their children and their families and to look for employment here. And part of the reason for that is the elementary schools that we have here in Lynn Haven, Deer Point, Lynn Haven Elementary, and Bay Haven Charter, as well as some of the others. So we were very excited about that. I would also like to thank you all so much for the prayers and support you've offered over the past couple of weeks. Many of you know my husband has had some heart issues, and we're going back and forth to Emory. We did find out this week, we just got in today, that he's going to be undergoing a quadruple bypass in the next week. We're just waiting for that schedule. So I've been in and out, and I appreciate very much the prayers and support from the city. So thank you. At this time, Commissioner Shad, do you have a report?
I have no report, but I would like to let the people in the audience know I'm fully recovered from the flu. I didn't die. Some people thought I was dead already the way I looked and walking around, and I confounded them and told them I was going to survive. Thank you.
That is good news. Commissioner Tender?
Yes. Let me just say that we spent over a week in the park across the street, and we got to all get to know each other. It was wonderful. It was positive. Everybody enjoyed everybody's company. We celebrated one of the candidates' birthday over there, and it's just been such a positive experience already. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again. Commissioner Barnes?
I have no report.
Thank you. Commissioner Friend?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, also attended the Arbor Day over at Lynn Haven Elementary. Mayor did a good job representing the city there. Also wanted to just congratulate Commissioner Judy. I want to say Commissioner Judy, no disrespect, just sounds, but Commissioner Tender on a job well done. I know you worked very, very hard for that. I look forward to working with you. And also just clarify with the attorney, it is okay for her to bring truffles, right, to the commission meeting? I mean, just in case she has any extra truffles out there, she could.
There's actually a special exception in Florida law for that.
So anyway, but I do look forward to working with you. Also, today had the opportunity to say goodbye to some longtime employees, been with this city for many, many, many years, and I just wanted to say how much I appreciate their longstanding commitment to Lynn Haven and to their job, and they'll certainly be missed, and welcome the new employees. I think Mr. Schubert did a fantastic job selecting the new employees, and I look forward to working with them in the future. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, item number 5 is the city manager's report. Mr. Schubert?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a few things here. One, the city has their own Arbor Day celebration planned as well. It is this Friday, April 28th. It's at Kane Griffin Park, and it's at 10 a.m. So we're going to plant a few trees. If you're available, please come out there and participate in that. I want to announce the next commission meeting, due to the special election, has been relocated to the Sports Center, and this is May 9th at 4 o'clock. There's a meeting room in there. We think that's going to be more conducive to the not only the audio but the visual. We plan on having several development orders and some planning type issues where we need to see some maps. So it's going to be at the sports complex. We'll advertise that, but I wanted to give you a heads up on that. The boat ramps, I'm happy to say, according to our city engineer, that are going to be open this Friday. So all the work on the Porter Park, those boat ramps, they look great. Drastic improvement from what we had, a great improvement. So look for those to open up on Friday. And then also we're planning a ribbon cutting ceremony for that, and I'll keep you apprised of that as well. And finally, I would just like to announce the Seat 3 runoff. Election day is the 16th of May, and early voting will be in this room the week prior to that, the 8th through the 12th. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. At this time, item number 6, the city attorney's report.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, moving on then to our consent agenda. These items 7 through 10, I will just read through all of these items and then ask for a motion and a second, and then at that time there'll be opportunity for discussion or questions from both the commission board as well as the public. Item number 7, the minutes from the last regular meeting on April the 11th. Item number 8, approval of replacement of library and police department number 2 roofs contract with Jerry Wilson's Roofing in the amount of $132,680. Item number 9, the approval of incentive application Highway 390 Little Hearts Learning Center. And item number 10, approval of task order to Panhandle Engineering, the Sun Trail. If I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from the board regarding any of these items?
Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
I'd just like to mention, just to bring everybody, so everybody remembers, this is the order for the engineering for the rails for trails. That's the money that the city engineer and Linda, city staff, secured for the engineering for the rails to trails. Just want to use the opportunity once again to say thank you to the city engineer for going after that and working with city staff to secure that. So this is just the first step, get the engineering done, and then hopefully move on to the next few steps that it'll take to make the rails for trails a reality.
Thank you. I believe, is Chris Forehand still here? Who was here earlier? Chris, would you just stand and let us give you a round of applause for that? And we are all looking forward to having that wonderful amenity here in the city. Then is there any other question on any of the other items or comments? Are there any questions or comments from the public on items 7 through 10? Yes, sir. Come forward, please.
Good afternoon. Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. Congratulations. Question, dealing with number 7, which is the Sun Trail, which originally was the, I think there was a crawfish
Item
trail.
number 10.
10,
Okay,
excuse,
okay.
thank you.
That's okay.
I notice it is for Panhandle Engineering, and we have a grant for that. Is that whole grant, which I think is somewhere in the area of $260,000, is that whole grant going to be used in the P&E in the first part of it, or is it going to be for spread over the whole phase 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of the trail?
My understanding from my reading it is the P&E, but Mr. Foreham, could you just speak directly to that? But I understood that that's the total.
Yes, Mayor, that is just for the engineering. But just so you know, the way that DOT requires us to do these projects is you have to do the engineering, and then once that's done, then they'll give you additional funding for the construction. And the state has budgeted $25 million a year for Central projects for the whole entire state for 5 years. So we have a big opportunity to get additional funding for the construction.
And my understanding is that once your portion of this is done, then that puts us in line to start receiving that type of money from the state, and that our our portion will be the 20 to 30% that we'll be putting in as we're moving along in years to
Yes,
follow.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, Mr. Walker, did you want to follow up with another question, or did that answer your?
I wanted clarification on that, because the last time we entered into this with Panhandle Engineering was with Port Park, and that was, the total money went to exactly what we see here, and we couldn't come up with any more money later on, and had to work at that to get Porter Park done. It's glad to see that the money possibly will come from the state, possibly.
And I really feel the reading that I've done about it, because the state is pushing the trail so hard across the state, that any city that has complied with what we've complied with at the point when we're finished with this engineering, that will put us in line for this money, and we shouldn't have an issue in getting it. That's why I feel good about it.
I hope so.
Does anyone else on the board want to comment on that? Or?
Yes, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. I think this is a good opportunity to reiterate what you had said and what the city engineer had mentioned, is that the next wave of funding, or in an effort to apply for that funding, the city will have to come up with some money of our own in order to receive those grants. So it's not, so we need to be thinking about that for the future budgets. I've slowly started talking to the city manager about that. So, but it is something that we'll have to eventually work into our own budget. So, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Commissioner Tender?
I'm just curious, because I'd really like to know, for $260,000, how long does it take to do what your part?
It'll probably take us about 8 months, because not all of the money is ours. We have sub-consultants, we have geotechnical engineers, we have surveyors, and we have environmental consultants, and they're probably about a third of that fee. So it takes about 8 months.
Thank you.
And I think the grant agreement gave us 12 months to do the whole project.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Robitaille? You certainly may. I will pass to you, City Manager.
Thank you for that question, Mayor. Two things. One, I just wanted to clarify, I can only speak to the last 3 years, but as far as Porter Park, and obviously I wasn't here 3 years ago, we're just finishing those boat ramps. There was $220,000 of grant money that we secured for that, and we matched those funds. There's $450,000, and this is within the last year and a half, $450,000 for the phase 3 of Porter Park, which will be the repavement. There's going to be some nice buildings constructed. We're going to redo the pavilions, et cetera. So that's almost $800,000. And the engineering that was spent on Porter Park this year, was fully funded through a grant. As far as the engineering, we have added 2 other engineers. I can tell you, Dewberry Preble Rish, the commission just approved the new stage in this corner. That was approximately $100,000, I believe, in engineering. Is that correct, Mr. Janke? $86,000. That did not go to Panhandle. There's been a lot of jobs that have not gone to Panhandle. It's public records. It's discoverable. They are not our only city engineer. There's Dewberry Preble Rish, and there's also Hatchmont McDonald. But
I realize
Sure.
I've been to meetings where he is the advocate for the applicant. I've been for meetings where he's the city engineer. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to keep him in the sack. And when somebody wears that many hats, well, I've been to a meeting at the planning commission where somebody wanted to do whatever. And he came forward and kept warning everybody, well, don't get in his way, he can turn this into a trailer court. I mean, come on. You guys have got to see something else. You've got to see something besides panhandling. I know you spent a lot of money, and I know you've done a good job with it, especially at Porter Park. But the history runs through here. So if nothing else, what I'm having to say today, keep a very sharp pencil. Because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, and a lot of it goes into engineering and design and studies.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a comment on any of the consent items?
Mayor, could I just,
Absolutely.
I apologize, could just make one more comment?
Sure.
And I'll be perfectly frank with you. Again, I'm speaking from the last 3 years. But one of the drivers I look at when we're taking a look at engineering, and Panhandle knows this, the other two know it as well, is who's bringing grant money to the table? And that's the standard business model now. When we interviewed all the other engineers and we selected these three, that was a major factor, is who's going to bring money to the table. Several of the big ticket items that Panhandle Engineering has secured while I've been here, they brought the money to the table. In the last 2 years, they brought over $2 million in grants to the table. So to me, all other things being the same, if they bring me half the money to finance it, I'm going to take a hard look at them. And I'm not saying that in defense of them. I'm saying, and the others have, when they bring us grant money and they bring us the funds for it, I think that's substantial as well.
And I just have one other question that I would like to ask, and also Mr. Robitaille, because you did get a reply. If you wanted to follow up, I'll allow you to do that as well. But let's just say whatever the engineering company is, and they receive this type of grant money. This is just from my own knowledge. I would like to know, because I've been trying to find this out myself. If I'm the engineer and I come forward with $280,000 for the rails to trails, do I have to use the full amount for engineering? Or can I use some of the money for other things? In other words, if I could get the engineering done for $190,000 of that, then could the other $80,000 go ahead and go to some of the, say, the deconstruction of the old track, or could it go, towards maybe some of the rest areas that'll go along? In other words, when you as an engineer receive this kind of grant money, I know that most grants that you're bound to use them for certain things. So since I'm throwing the question out, if you could enlighten me on that, are you tied? Like, if they give you the 280. Have you outlined it in such a way that all of that has to be used for your surveys, your engineering, and so forth, or do you have any leeway about giving some of that back to the city for other parts of that project? So that's just a question.
The Central program, the way it's set up, when we put together the application, we came up with all of the fees that it would take to do all of the engineering, okay? Then all of the numbers that it would take to do the construction. And then also there's a CEI component too, so there's a separate engineer that you have to hire.
Help us, as the layman here, the CEI component.
This construction engineering inspection.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we put those prices together, and then we submit that to DOT. And they approve that. And for this particular situation, if we said, hey, we'd like to use $200,000 for engineering and the other $68,000 for something else, they would say, no, you're not ready for construction. We're only going to give you $200,000.
Okay.
So you could not, to answer your question is no, you could not use that.
Okay.
So in this situation, I mean, there may be others that you could, but
okay.
Typically when you apply for these grants, you give them a number, and that's the number they give you in grant money.
Okay, thank you very much. That answers my
Thank you.
question. Anyone else have? Okay, Commissioner
I'm
Tender
sorry.
has a
I
follow-up.
just want to ask one more question. And I ask this because I think maybe some audience members would like to know too. Is it commonplace for the engineer to apply for grants? Does the city ever apply for grants?
Sure.
Yes, they do. They apply for many, but and to answer your question, yes, we do apply for grants because we want to help you pay for our fees, and we want to help you pay for construction.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the audience have a comment or a question about this? We thank you very much. Mr. Robitaille, did you want to follow up because you asked the question? Did you get everything you needed from the? Okay, go ahead.
The bond sold was in my day, and I'd like to speak to city managers bringing money to the table. The way I'm hearing it, you get $200,000, knock, knock, knock. I got $200,000. You need anything you got to spend it on? You hear this? You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's, I just don't like the idea of an independent agent like Panhandle Engineering in particular. Coming up with this fund money. Okay, I got this money in my pocket. What can we do with it? See, this idea of the worker bringing money to the employer, there's something wrong there. There's something wrong there, and I've never had, in my limited experience, never had anyone come to me and say, Dale, I've got all this money, you know anything you want to spend it on? It's never happened to me. And bringing money to the table, I have to question that.
I appreciate your thoughts and keep us to the fire with your questions. I appreciate that. Anyone else have a comment or a question? Okay, at this time, if I could have, we have had a motion and a second already, and so at this time, Mr. Schubert, if you would call the roll.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, and so the consent agenda is approved as written. Moving on to the new business, item number 11 is Resolution 2017-04-680. This is the abandonment of utility easement for parcel 163-4, FDOT widening of State Road 390. Commissioner, City Manager, Mr. Schubert, would you please read the resolution? I believe it's just by title, is it not?
Yes, Mayor, and it's a very short one. They both are. Resolution 2017-04-680.
Hey, do we have a staff member who could let the audience know what this is? Or
Mr. Baker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Baker.
Yeah, it's part of, Bobby Baker, Public Works Director.
Thank you.
As part of the widening of Highway 390, there's several easements and future sections of right-of-way the DOT is going to need. I believe the first one, there's two of them on the agenda tonight. One of them is where Precision Collision is on the corner. They have a small utility easement that once the road widens, they're taking that with it. The other one is actually CVS, what's considered the old Railroad Avenue, where CVS rerouted around the building. When they take that parcel, that'll be dedicated to them. So they won't have our easements running through their right-of-way.
Okay, thank you.
And there'll be several more to come as they continue with their legal descriptions.
All right, so we're still on item number 11, this resolution. Is there a motion for acceptance?
So move.
A second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion from Mr. Baker or other staff members regarding item number 11 from the board? Any questions or comments from the public for item number 11? Okay, Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
Aye.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, and so this is approved. Moving to item number 12, Mr. Baker also gave us an explanation just a moment ago, but if there is excuse me, Mr. Schubert, you'll have to read the resolution, which is by title only. Thank you.
Resolution 2017-04-681.
Thank you. And that's the abandonment of utility easement for parcel 167-5.5 FDOT widening State Road 390. Are there any questions from the board for Mr. Baker regarding this easement? Any from the public? Okay, Mr. Schubert, if you would please call the roll.
We need a motion.
Motion.
Oh, I thought we already had that one. Thank you.
No.
Is there a motion for
I'll
acceptance?
move approval.
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second. Keep me straight here. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so that is approved as well. Okay, Now we'll move to item number 13, which is discussion and possible action regarding approval of development order and certificate of concurrency, DO 17-8, North Bay Haven Charter Academy Stormwater, and this is a quasi-judicial hearing, and so our attorney will be asking for someone to be sworn in, I assume.
Yes, ma'am. Items number 13 and 14 are quasi-judicial hearing in the city of Lynn Haven. If anybody plans on providing any testimony before the commission, please go ahead and stand and raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth upon penalty of perjury? Thank you. And if any commissioners had any ex parte communication with the applicant regarding this matter, please go ahead and disclose that on the record.
I have had none.
None.
I've had none.
I've had none. And I've had none.
Thank you, ma'am.
Application. The project is North Bay Haven Charter Academy Athletic Fields. This is
Excuse me, Ms. Richard. Can everyone hear okay? It didn't sound like it was very loud. Can we give a little more volume to Ms. Richard, please? Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll begin again. This is a development order application. The project is North Bay Haven Charter Academy Athletic Fields. This particular development order is for the stormwater pond to support those fields. The applicant is D&H Properties, LLC, and the agent is Chris Short from Dewberry Preble Rish, and he is here tonight if you have any engineering-specific questions. Parcel number is 11344-000-000. The location is east of Mill Bayou Road off Highway 390 East, and I think most people are familiar with where North Bay Haven Charter Academy is actually located. The land use is TND, which is Traditional Neighborhood Development. The size of this parcel is 1.66 acres, and the proposal is to construct stormwater facilities to support the athletic fields. This map here is the land use map. Where you see the little arrow pointing to that little parcel with the stripes on there, that's where the stormwater facilities are going to be. The agenda item that will follow this one will be for the actual, will be for tennis courts to be built on those fields, but it's a different applicant. And the reason for that is because this particular parcel is still owned by D&H Properties, who are the entity that sold the land to Bay Haven Charter Academy. And there's an agreement in place that they will provide stormwater facilities for their athletic fields. So that's the property there. This is an aerial. It's difficult to see, but you can see that pond. The school is there on the left-hand side. The property where the athletic fields are going and the tennis courts are immediately across the road on the east. And then you can see just a little red arrow pointing down from an existing pond there to a little parcel, and that is where the stormwater pond will be located. And this is a site plan of a stormwater pond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions from the board on item number 13?
Yes, I have a question. I noticed in the proposal they were talking about the stormwater pond and the gradients. You don't need a fence because they feel like the gradient is, sufficient.
It doesn't need to be
That's
fenced.
still in a schoolyard environment, so to speak. And, personally, I feel a little uncomfortable saying you're going to have a big stormwater pond. And yes, it meets the code because the grade is wide enough and slopes enough. But that doesn't prevent, a child from going down there. Is any consideration being given to perhaps putting at least a small fence around it?
Not that I'm aware of. We've got the engineers. Chris, do you want to come up and speak? Thank you.
Chris Short, Dewberry Preble Rish. As mentioned, the side slopes of the pond are designed such that, per state safety standards, they, require no fencing. Furthermore, it was designed, the same side slope kind of schematic was designed for the pond across the street, which is behind the school facility. That one is not fenced either. So at this time, because of those factors, a fence is not being proposed.
Do you have any other comments, Commissioner Shad?
I still feel uncomfortable with it, but I'm not an obstructionist. I mean, if it meets the code, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. I just feel uncomfortable, particularly since it's in a schoolyard environment.
Thank you. Okay.
All right,
Thank you. Any other comments from the board or questions?
I just wanted to ask, how deep is this water? Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. The permanent pool depth of this particular pond is basically you have a depth requirement of having an average depth of 8 feet and a maximum depth of 12 feet from where the water will stand in the pond, what we call the permanent pool elevation. So I believe this pond is somewhere around 8 feet, or 8 feet in depth.
It's a good alligator pond.
And could you tell us the proximity in feet to the actual school building?
Well, for the school building is actually on the other side of the boulevard entrance road.
It was a rhetorical question, so. So it's really not in a proximity that would be in endangerment. From what I'm seeing, I'm just asking.
Sure.
It was a rhetorical question that it's not right by the school. So.
Understood.
Okay, anything from the audience?
You do not. You need a motion. No, you need a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Tender has one more question.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am. No problem.
Who's liable if a child were to drown in that pond? Who's liable?
Not speaking a legal opinion here, but the owner of the property is D&H Properties. They are the owner of the pond facility. I'm not an attorney, but that's the answer I can provide on that.
Okay. All right. We appreciate your answers. Thank you. Anybody else? Good. Okay. I need a motion and a second for item number 13.
Thank you.
Move approval.
There's been a motion for approval. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. There's been a motion for approval and a second. Any discussion from the public or comments? Yes, Mr. Walker.
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. We had this problem before, and dovetailing on that concern there and your commissioner's concerns there. This came up with Walmart, when Walmart put their little pond in there. Beautiful little pond. And the citizens asked Walmart to protect the children, build a fence. You know what Walmart did? They built the fence.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay. Yes, we have one more.
Brad Yunt, 210 Lakeview Terrace. Speaking to Commissioner Shadd's question about code. The code is a minimum standard. Mm-hmm. If you satisfy the code, that is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. As a responsible professional engineer, you have to do what is required for the situation. You cannot hide behind adherence to the code because the code is a minimum standard.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment about this or anything else regarding this piece of property? Okay. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll for item number 13?
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
No.
Commissioner Shadd?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
No. So the motion is approved 3-2, correct?
That's correct. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. I thought this was heard. Okay, moving on to item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding approval of development order and certificate of concurrency DO-17-6 North Bay Haven Charter Academy tennis courts. And we've already had the hearings, everyone's sworn in, and if you would like to enlighten us on this one, thank you.
This is the development order application for the actual tennis courts. The project is North Bay Haven Charter Academy tennis courts. The applicant, Matthew Morgan, Bay Haven Charter Academy. The agent this time is Chris Forehand from Panhandle Engineering, parcel number 1134-025-000. The The location again is east of Mills Bayou Road. Existing land use is traditional neighborhood development. The size of the property is 16 approximately acres, and the proposal at this time is to construct 6 tennis courts on those athletic fields. This is the future land use map showing the location, which is just immediately south to the little parcel we were looking at for the stormwater pond. This is the aerial, so you can see it's directly across the boulevard from the school. This is a plan of what's proposed for the athletic fields in the long term. So there would be parking on the left-hand side and a baseball field, I believe that is, and other sports fields. Where the star is up towards the top, that red star, that's the tennis courts, and it's just the tennis courts that are being proposed at this time. And this is the site plan of the tennis courts, which you can see, and you can see the stormwater pond just to the north of the tennis courts there.
Is there a motion for acceptance?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board or discussion from the board regarding the tennis courts? And there appear to be none. Any from the public? And there appear to be none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
Aye.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. That is approved. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you very much, Ms. Richard. Moving on to item number 15 is the first reading of Ordinance 1029, right-of-way abandonment, TFCU Corporate Park and Driveway. This is no action required, just a first reading.
Ordinance number 1029, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, providing for the vacation and abandonment of a portion of a certain 20-foot platted right-of-way as shown on the St. Andrews Bay Development Company's plat of Section 21, Township 3 South, Range 14 West, Bay County, Florida, which lies within the city limits, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing for an immediately effective date.
Thank you. Any questions regarding this ordinance? This is not for action this evening, but just for edification. Anyone? Any questions from the public? Okay, then we'll move on to item number 16, which is discussion and possible action regarding the award of contract commercial solid waste to Baldwin Container as the lowest responsible bidder. Do we have a staff report before I ask for a motion in a second?
I can go through it if you'd like.
Probably for the public?
Sure. This is one of the contracts that, you know, when I was charged 3 years ago, when I was fortunate enough to obtain this job, I was charged with looking at all the long-standing contracts and taking a look and rebidding those out to make sure that we're getting not only what we're paying for, but the most economical deal that we could obtain for the city. This is one of the last areas we looked at. This is commercial solid waste. We've got over 200 dumpsters in the city. This is commercial. These are the big dumpsters you see behind our commercial entities here in the city, a lot of them along 77, the main corridor. We did an RFP. As you know, we recently redid our purchasing manual, I think, in an effort, and this, along with some of the other RFPs we've done, as well as ITBs, have shown us that there's opportunities to improve our manual, so we did so. I believe this is a result of that. We did a two-phase process. The first was a pre-qualification, for lack of a better word, and it was a binary, 2 or 3 pages. Do you meet the minimum requirements? Are you competent? Are you qualified to do this job? They submitted 2 envelopes. The first one would answer all these questions. Staff did some staff work behind that to ensure that the answers were indeed correct. And they wound up qualifying. I believe there were 5 vendors that applied. They qualified all 5 of them. The second envelope that was submitted was a bid. So once they got past the pre-qualifying, we went with the lowest bid. The second phase we opened in public as well, and the lowest responsible bidder was Baldwin Container Company. So our staff recommendation is to go with Baldwin Container. I will note there are, you know, just like all of our contracts, there's clauses for termination, for cause, for convenience, indemnification, etc. No different than any of our other contractors. This is a new vendor. We've had another vendor in place that's done an admirable job. This represents almost $100,000 a year in savings. So that's my report.
Thank you. Is there a motion for acceptance?
Move approval of the Baldwin Container Company.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion or further questions from the board? Any discussion or questions from the public? And there appear to be none. Mr. Schubert, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
Aye.
Commissioner Shad?
Aye.
Commissioner Friend?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, so the motion stands approved. That takes us to our last item, number 17. This is public commentary. This is your opportunity if there's anything that you'd like to bring before the board on any topic. You may do that at this time. Anyone? Yes, Mr. Robitaille, if it's more comfortable to stand in place, you certainly may.
Welcome. It's not a pun, but you got to be ready for the kitchen. It's going to get hot out here coming up. And I appreciate your willingness to get there. One thing that's going to change, and I can tell you it's going to change for sure, is this idea. Well, first of all, we go to the fact that we don't have workshops anymore. So apparently what happens is not having a chance to discuss it with his fellow commissioners. The commissioner comes here, he looks at an agenda, and magically he knows all about the situation. Now, I'm not buying that at all. And another thing I have that's going to change, and I can count on, is this idea that a commissioner is going to come to these meetings time and time and time again. No report. No report. No report. We all know what I'm talking about, I hope so. How can you possibly be a commissioner in Lynn Haven and not have a report? How can you possibly even go to the store and not run into somebody that's got a problem in Lynn Haven? That's got to change. It's got to change real quick. And another thing that has to change is the lack of, I want to call it city officials that are actually employees. I'd like to see the chief of police sheriff in uniform. I'd like to see the chief of the fire department here in uniform. I think they ought to know what's going on at these meetings. I know they sent a delegate here. But really, they owe us that. They owe us that to be here. Somebody might just have a question about the police department. Gee golly, how could that be? But you see what I'm saying? There isn't enough going on as far as this commission is concerned. Commissioners come here, no workshop, practically know what's going on, don't have a report, nobody knows what's going on. We can do better than this, and we're going to. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Robitaille. I do want to point out that we do have a new police chief, and I would like to commend him because he has been here for every commission meeting since he's been appointed police chief. Thank you very much. Next, Matt Reamer, thank you. Yes, Ms. Tennell, come on up. Thank you.
I'm Libby Tennell, 505 Virginia Avenue, and I want to thank whoever is in charge of planting the trees along the streets out here. They're going to be so nice when they fill out and be shade for us, especially when we're out there having our block parties and all the different things that we're planning, and I think our commissioners are doing a great job. I don't know why people want to complain, and at the campaign that we had last week or week before last, it went on so smoothly, and it was like a big family out there. I helped with them a lot. We even had a birthday party and sang happy birthday, and it was really nice.
Thank you so much. And I think probably the trees, we can thank CRA and Leisure Services, is that correct?
Absolutely, and
Okay.
that came from a tree mitigation fund. So
Thank you.
So that's
Thank you very much. And they do look beautiful. I can't wait for them to grow. Anyone else have a comment? Yes, Mr. Walker.
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. A little bit out of my style here. I want to just say something about Friday afternoon. I received a request from the Sons of the Confederacy to see if I could supply, or we could supply water to them for cleaning the statue. They had permission from Leisure Services, and I thank you for that. And I had to request the staff to help me because the water was not turned on to the library. Okay, and at 4:30, your staff were out there helping me getting that service to the park, actually. And Sons of Confederacy the next day could clean the statue. I want to thank the staff for almost spending a lot of overtime and hustling to the job and task. Just a little point of interest, the Sons of Confederacy are probably the only ones that ever cleaned that statue, and this is the second time they've done it. And I want to thank them, and I want to thank the city staff for their help.
Thank you. Thank the city staff. And it is a union statue at that, too.
Mayor, could I follow up?
Yes, please.
I can't let Mr. Walker thank the staff without thanking Mr. Walker, because actually after Arbor Day at Lynn Haven Elementary, I saw his truck there, stopped in, and he was deep in it and working on the plumbing and all that stuff. And at first he was complaining, I think, a little bit about grumbling about the city and doing the city's work and blah, 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 but then he just stood up and said, you know what, this is a great thing and this is what we're doing. And then, of course, he and I had a really good talk, as we always do. Don't always agree, but we always have good conversation. And the library, just while I have the floor, if you don't mind, is really coming along, looking great, and I appreciate all the work you're doing over there as well. But couldn't let him go without saying thank you for all that you're doing as well that you didn't mention today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has a comment on anything? Okay, thank you so much. One more time, congratulations to our new commissioner, Judy Tender, and thank you all for being here this evening, and the meeting is adjourned.